And that's crazy that I just mentioned that verse. The thief cometh not but to steal, kill, and destroy. I am come. Who is that talking? Jesus. That they may have life. And that they may have what? Might have life more abundantly. So the thief, the devil, is going to assault your life to kill you, steal from you, and destroy you in every way, shape, or form he can. But the Lord, not the hospital, not the doctor, not somebody's opinion, comes that you might have life and survive and live, to be alive, to have a life. And that life is supposed to be a better quality of life, more abundantly. If you're not going to the source for these things, you're going to be striving, trying very hard, trying to get them, and you're not probably going to be doing a very good job at them. You're going to be striving and struggling and barely making it, just like I was. Even with being educated, even with being smart, even with being health conscious, even with improving your lifestyle, this, and that, all these things, you're still going to be struggling. You're still going to be striving, and you're still going to be having little to no results if you don't go directly to the person who invented these things. If you don't go directly to the person and have him at the driver's wheel who promised you these things. I was in a situation where I didn't have a problem with having the Lord at the wheel. I was constantly in a situation where I had to fight to keep him at the wheel because of outside interferences and outside people, to where I was fighting a battle to keep the Lord at the wheel because they wanted to be at the wheel. And that's another thing that these prayers help you address. It'll help you put your entire life in order to salvage your life while you still have one. Because the thief cometh not to steal, kill, and destroy. And he will incorporate anything, anybody, and any situation that he needs to have in place as an undercover plot to tear you down piece by piece by piece by piece without you even realizing that it's going on. Or where you'll know that something is wrong. You'll know, oh, I need to address this. I need to fix this. I need to improve this. You'll be a conscious and aware person working towards that. But you'll be looking over here thinking this is where the attack is coming from. Meanwhile, it's coming from somewhere completely different. That's the whole point. And this is the most powerful, one of the most powerful testimonies I have. And you're going to see why I'm getting choked up and emotional. And you're going to see why when you see how dramatic this is. You know, one of the foundations and tenets, how can we put it? One of the, you know, when everything has a model to, like a, not model, but like a slogan or a motto or kind of like a mission statement. One of the main mission statements of the book that I wrote is the enemy comes to do nothing but to kill, steal, and destroy. And that is exactly what he does. If you will allow him to do it, he will do it. He will do it in whatever way he can possibly get away with it in, until he keeps going and going and going and going until you get up and stop him. What are my results? We going from extreme hanging off a cliff, life hanging on by a thread. By the time I got to July of 2021, I went from that 20 to 30 to vroom, all the way up to 100. Out of nowhere. Astronomical, off the chart. On something that you should be at 0 on. You shouldn't even be here, and you all the way up at 100. And it stayed there. all the way from 2020 all the way through 2021. Guess what happened by September of 2022? So this is the following year. Out of the blue, I go get tested. And what number am I at? I'm at completely negative. Completely negative. Now, keep in mind, there's other testimonies and other health issues and other journeys that are running alongside this process that's going on in the meantime. And where the Lord was working and healing and addressing other areas, those things were pouring off into and healing and positively affecting other issues. So while he was working on these other areas and in the background with these other things, lo and behold, boom, this gets fixed. That gets put in place. That gets put in alignment. There's no issue over here anymore. Everything is getting put inside of proper alignment. I go from off the charts astronomically at 100 for something that should be 0. All of a sudden, I'm at completely negative. There is no journey. Remember, I showed you the drastic chart where it just plummeted, skydived straight down for the cholesterol. This is the same exact thing. As you notice, I didn't go from 100. Oh, and we text her and now she's at a 70. We test her, now she's at a 55. There was none of that journey and in between and all this stuff and all that stuff. It just plummeted. I went from one moment and era of being off the charts and hanging on by a thread in a bad place to all of a sudden ceased, completely gone, out of the picture, negative, don't exist, not readable, negative. And then as you can see, going up the chart, every time after that, when they would test me and run my urine for the protein and run my kidney health, negative, negative, negative. Let me say this. When I first got diagnosed in the 14s, of course, they prescribed me with insulin and put me on insulin and metformin. I was taking both of those. Let me tell you this. Somebody's going to say, oh, it's because insulin healed you and fixed you. The metformin, no, it did not. No, it did not. And I'm going to prove that to you in a minute. Actually, I was put on, this is why I say I'm not against insulin. I'm not against metformin. No, let me change that. I'm saying I'm not against prescriptions in medicine. It's all about letting the Lord incorporate and run the show. And if it's something that needs to be there, he will have it there. If it needs to be there for a certain amount of time, he will have it there. If it's something man-made or physical that needs to help, or a person that he needs to put inside the situation, that is what he will do. But to go to these things and lean on these things and depend on these things and look to these things and think you're going to get healed, you're never going to get healed from these things. I'm going to just be real with you. You're never going to get healed. Most people who are diagnosed with diabetes and get on these medicines, they're on these medicines for their whole life, and it never doesn't reverse or heal. It's not meant to heal diabetes. It's meant to help you manage it. So you never will get healed on these medications and thinking that this is going to heal you and help you. It can help you manage it when you don't have the right path. When you let the Lord at the wheel like I did, and let him orchestrate everything, even if you do need these things, it will be temporary until he completely heals you or takes care of the situation. So no medication, no prescription, no medicine was responsible for my healing in no way, shape, or form. When I first got put on insulin and metformin, I was on those things for a very short amount of time. Do you want to know why? Somebody would think, oh my God, you're at 14. That's way worse than me. And I'm still on insulin and metformin. And I wasn't nowhere near that high yet. I've been on insulin for years or half of my life or whatever, or 10 years or 3 years or whatever the case. Guys, I'm not on insulin or metformin anymore because those were never the answer. And those were never the cure. And those were never what was wrong with me. And those were never the key for my healing. That's why. That's why people who were not as bad as me are still dependent on these things, because I was actually healed. When you're not healed yet, you're still just managing the problem, but the problem is still there. The warfare prayers in my books are meant to heal you and deliver you to where you don't have a problem and an issue no more. Not just help you manage the problem. And then the problem is still there for you to deal with. So I was on medicine for a very short time. And the reason why I got off of it is because my body began rejecting it. Why did my body reject it? Because my body never needed it to begin with. People get prescribed insulin, and I'm not an anti-prescription person. This is a person who walked it and lived it. And chances are at 14, over 14 A1C, I had it way worse than you do. So I know for a fact that most people are on these things and given these things because they don't know what else to do. Your body really does not need it, but they don't have a solution or answer. So that's the best that they can do to help manage it. Most of our bodies don't need it. When our bodies are healed, we no longer need that because the issue isn't there, or it's so dramatically lessened and weakened to the point where we don't even need such a dramatic response as far as a prescription or a drug to manage it. Most of our bodies don't need it. When the Lord healed my body began rejecting. That's just like if I don't have seizures, yet I start taking seizure medicines. Do we think that's going to be a good result for my body? No. I was taking something that my body really didn't need. It only needed it temporarily in the moment to help me stay alive because I wasn't healed yet. When the Lord healed me, which started very rapidly at the beginning of this process, he began to supernaturally touch me and heal me. And once that happened, it actually was a danger to my health to remain on insulin and metformin because I was rejecting it. And so I went from being too high to being overly drugged and dosed for something that I didn't need. Why? Because my body now had been given the power to fight this on its own. God designed our bodies to fight. He will teach you and equip you and show you how to get your body healed in a fashion where it can begin to fight on its own and for itself. That's how we were created. Or you guys who are interested, you don't have to be interested in all this just to purchase the book or be interested in the book or even use the book. None of this. This is what I'm freely sharing and giving to build upon the introductory, to show you my testimony, how serious it was, and show you the dramatic, serious results that the power of God can produce in your life. And I know we all say, I believe that, I believe in prayer, I believe in the power of God, but we aren't fully walking in that belief. You can believe and sincerely believe with your heart and not be walking and operating and living that out with your actions and what you say and what you do and how you make your decisions and how you arrange and set your entire life up. So it's more about what we do than just about an internal belief. That's what I'm trying to get everybody to realize. I was in a place where I was probably the most faithful believer you could think of, yet my lifestyle was not set up that was in alignment with that belief. It says faith without works is dead. I had all the faith and I had a lot of the works and was willing to do the work, but yet my life was situated in a way where the things of God and the will of God was hindered and suppressed and controlled and fought against. And I think I already said this, from being able to be orchestrated and set in place in the right order, in his divine order, because it was too many hands in the pot, man-made hands in the pot, trying to orchestrate things their way. And then that begins to bleed off into how you orchestrate your own life once you have so many of those influences and pressures. And that is not necessarily from a specific person. That is the way of the world while we don't even realize it. Everything that the world is going to have you do is kind of like counterclockwise to how God and his will for you and how he created us to prosper and be youthful and energetic and strong and healthy. People used to live hundreds of years. There's a reason why our lifespan has decreased. That's not a fable. We have acclimated and bowed down and submitted to and bought into a trap of orchestrating our entire lives the way the world says we should and the way man has made it that we should. And that's why we're dying younger and younger and younger. And we're every year and every generation and decade, we have a new set of diseases that we never had before. And those diseases and illnesses and ailments and conditions, we have all these things that are all across the world that are growing and getting worse and worse and bigger, things that didn't even used to exist. Is because the more we go on with doing things in the power of God is being replaced with humans and man. And that's why we are suffering at the hand of it. So when you are living a life, we live in the world, but not supposed to be of that. And when we think about that, we usually think of saying, well, I'm not a sinful person. I don't live a life like the world. That could be true. You could be the most innocent little spotless lamb ever, but you could still be bowing down to and living under the subjection and authority of how the world sees things and does things. And if that isn't counter productivity to how God created it, it will cause damage.